Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got another HEMI here that has a misfire under load. So we're getting into the teardown on it, and we get the valve covers and the intake manifold off because, for one, I want to take a look at the VVT. We'll discuss that in just a second. Number two, I want to visually watch what the valve train is doing during cranking. Now, if you watch the intake rocker on number 3, compare it to the travel of intake rocker on number 5, you can see that it is barely turning. Alright, some of you are going to ask, how do I crank the engine over without wasting somebody else's time to go in there and actually turn the key? If we look right here, this is the PDC, the Power Distribution Center, also called a TIPM on older versions. What I have right here is a button. It's a simple on-off button. I connect to power, and then I remove the starter relay, and I hook a wire right into the output feed to the starter solenoid, so that when I push the button, it cranks the engine.
That's awesome.
Anytime I play with the valve train before I put valve covers back on, or during diagnostic use, I always do this to make sure that everything is reseated the way it should be, or to help me in diagnosing. I can do compression tests all off of this button, whatever. So what we're going to see on this after I get this torn apart, and I'll show you guys, is with this rocker arm having no stroke in it when it's rotating, that means that something has failed. I'm going to guess that the camshaft has failed, or the lifter has failed, or whatever. Now, when we're tearing these apart, one thing we always want to do is pull out the VVT solenoid, which is this little guy right here, and we want to inspect it for metal. Now, it's really hard to see through the video, but you're not going to find any metal in it right now. I've already gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. But what we will find is right here, there should be a screen in that hole, just like right here, in here, and all the way else around. What I guess happened is that a whole bunch of metal got piled up against that screen, caused it to fatigue, and then fail, and thus taking the metal and just distributing it throughout the entire engine. We'll find out more when I get the oil pan off, and I'll show you pictures of how much metal's in the oil pan. I will pull the camshaft out because we are replacing the engine, but I want to show the failure itself. We're going to talk about maintenance on this. As you can see, everything looks extremely good in there. You can actually see the valves. They are spotless clean.
Wow.
Now, this customer is a returning customer. He comes back for all of his maintenance. I know that the maintenance on this motor has been done top-notch. He does oil changes every 5,000 miles. Every 30,000 miles, we do the induction injection cleaning. And every 100,000, we do the spark plugs. I know this because I just did the spark plugs on this not too long ago. There's not a lot that we can do as far as maintenance to make this problem go away. It is a problem with the manufacturing of the parts. We've had a comment from a viewer on another video about how manufacturers of the parts are getting away from a good complete hardening process, and I agree with that totally. So we're gonna tear into this and actually see exactly what failed, but I'm pretty sure that that lifter or the lifter and the camshaft failed. Time will tell. We'll see it though today. Alright, so here we have the whole intake manifold with the throttle body. Now, this one, because I just did an induction injection on it, you can see that it is perfectly clean inside of here. That's another bonus for doing proper maintenance. The inside of that intake manifold is still perfectly clean. We're actually going to reuse it. We're not required to replace the intake manifold unless we have a catastrophic failure. The reason why is there's valves inside of there, short runner valves, that open and close, and if there's a catastrophic failure, we don't want metal debris from the blown up engine getting into the intake manifold, and then when you put it on top of a brand new engine, dumping that debris right back into the brand new engine. But this did not have a catastrophic failure, so we don't need to replace that intake manifold. But if you ever do have a catastrophic failure on a vehicle, Chevy, Ford, or Dodge, and the dealership or the shop wants to replace your intake manifold, please do it. We don't want a brand new engine suffering because somebody wanted to save a couple $100. Valve covers. You can also see on this valve cover There is no sludge, there is no grime, there is no dirt. This thing is clean. Again, proper maintenance on your vehicle is going to make sure that you're giving your engine the best opportunity to provide long-term, dependable service for you. All right, so our next step here is we're going to evac the AC system, drain the coolant. I'm actually going to flush the coolant block, the coolant out of the block and the radiator and everything, because I hate playing around in that stuff. We're probably going to set up a GoPro and we're going to do a time-lapse video of me actually pulling the engine out. And then I'm going to tear this one down a little bit so that we can take a look at some of the stuff on the inside and compare it to, you know, what brand new parts look like. It's going to be a quick process. It's not rocket science getting one of these bad boys out. I'm also going to be able to pull this engine without pulling the whole front cooling assembly out. I will pull the radiator. I don't have to fold the hood back. I don't have to go through a lot of the other bull crap that some people say. Got to be careful not to cuss on here. Such a bad habit. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and keep a watch out for, I think we're going to do 2 videos on this. And yeah, keep subscribing. Thanks a lot.